For the last 8 years, I've been stuck around the V5 grade range. I was on a plateau. Harder grades looked like pipe dreams. And I thought I'd be lucky if I can manage a V8 in my lifetime. But luck, I found out, has little to do with it. This year I learned that plateaus are just a symptom and a sign that things need to change if I want to progress. I first started climbing because I just wanted to get into better shape, but I soon became completely obsessed with the sport. When I got into climbing, it was even more niche than it is today. Every single regular at the gym also climbed outside. So my mindset on climbing grades has always been that it didn't count until I did it on real rock. Earlier this year, I committed a month to switch up my training and approach, and by the end of that month, I was able to climb my first V7. And it felt great, but I was only scratching the surface. My new goal was to keep the progress going and train for 6 months to climb my first V10. Now I haven't hit the 6-month mark yet, but on a recent trip to Magic Wood, I hit a new milestone, and I want to share that with you. When you start to progress quickly, you also need to shift your mindset of what's possible. I used to project V5s. They felt hard. But now I have to look at them like warm-ups and expect to get them on my first go. This is my first climb on the trip, a classic V5 called U-Boat. Again, it's weird for me to walk up to a V5 and treat it like a warm-up. But this was part of the mindset change that I needed to adapt to over the last few months. My goal for the trip was to climb my first V8, and I was looking at a climb called Morning Latte. But it was soaking wet every single day. I tested out some other V8s, but it was a V9 called Supernova that really caught my attention. Now, I had never actually tried to climb a V9 before, and just trying to string together the first 3 moves felt almost impossible at the start. But I really liked the line, so I committed to work on it with every spare moment I had on the trip. I was completely okay walking away from this trip without climbing anything really hard, but I needed to know where I stood. I needed to know if my training and progress was headed in the right direction, if I was on course to hit my goals.
Go on. Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. A bit higher.
This was the first trip where I've actually projected a climb over more than one day. My first session on Supernova was mostly exploring to feel the climb out. Even though the moves felt really difficult, there were moments where it seemed attainable. And I knew pushing my limits and climbing a new personal best wasn't likely to happen in a day. And if it did, I probably set my goals too low. During my second session, I was trying to sort out the beta that would work for me. The last few moves aren't that difficult. I was able to get them right away. But for me, the crux was the midsection, where I needed to get a couple moves along the arête to set up and shoot out for a crimp. Now this climb is really slippery, so the hand and foot placements need to be perfect to keep the balance and compression in line to stay on the rock. By my third and last session, I had done the climb in 2 parts and was sorting out some micro adjustments that needed to be made so I could dial in the midsection moves. Supernova starts on some really glassy crimps, and you gotta make a really precise heel just to get started. The sequence that worked best for me was to go right hand first out and then cross over left. And that cross move set me up to get the first crimp that's on the underside of the climb. This is one of those first balancy moves that you have to stay compressed and make sure your heel is really engaged. It's from this precarious position that you have to shoot out after. Now my micro adjustment here was to put my right foot on a small edge to give me a bit more momentum pushing out to a crimp that's further along on the underside. There are 2 crimps underneath, and I at first was trying to go for the one that was closer, but I had a higher success rate when I was able to catch the second one. In that position, it's about maintaining tension, moving your left heel up, and then you bump out right hand again to a really nice hold. From that point, it's about adjusting your heel and left hand up along the arête to get yourself into a good position, to shift your body weight over so you get your right heel on the right side and get your right hand onto a nice jug. Now these last few moves aren't that difficult. You gotta bump your left hand up and you cross over almost like a guppy onto the last hold. But the challenge I was finding on my last day of climbing is I was just so tired by the time I got there, and I'd been working the first section. I was resting in between attempts, but we didn't have much time left in our day. I jumped back on knowing that I could do all the moves, so at this point it was just a matter of did I have enough strength and focus left to finish off the climb. So twice I made it all the way to the end of the climb, and twice I fell right at the last move. But at that point, I knew I could do the climb. I had no expectations. I didn't think I would climb a V9 on this trip, so at this point I was already happy. But to give myself the best shot, I needed to have a good break and come back to it to give it one last really good try before we had to take off and fly home later that night.
Nice, Andy, come on. Nice, buddy, good. Come on.
Yes.
Good, come on, work the feet. You got it, mate.
Yes, come on, yes.
Come on, so strong.
Come on. Yes, baby.
Come on.
Yes,
Come on.
Come on, that's it.
Everything you got now.
Come on. Come on. Throw the heel over.
Come
Yes,
on,
baby.
this time,
That's
just
it.
relax. Come on,
Come on. That's it.
come on,
Yes, now get your right heel back on, bro.
come on.
Come on. Get it on. Get it on. Match that shit. Come on. Yeah!
Yes!
Ah!
Yes!
Yeah!
Yes!
Miller.
Oh!
Woo!
Take my fist. You get the sunglasses.
Ah.
Yes! Oh my god.
Holy shit!
That was amazing.
You killed it like a killer.
Tell me everything.
First V9, what the hell?
What an end to the trip.
This is the perfect ending to my trip. I can't believe.
Can you breathe? What time do we have to leave, Andy?
4 o'clock. What time is it?
It's 4:40, 3:48.
3:48.
3:48. Good
So the
job.
last burns, I was super close. I was right at the end. We took a good long break. Aaron did a climb. JP did a climb. So much psych. Everybody's sending stuff in Magic Wood right now. I knew all the moves. There's shade now. There wasn't sunny.
Execution. Perfect.
Execution. Go into it.
Perfect.
Oh my God!
That's amazing.
This is one of my favorite things about climbing. Days, months, years, or decades, the journey is never ending, and grit and determination will reward you with victories, and they taste so sweet.
Amazing. Congrats, buddy.
I'm a happy guy.
That's phenomenal. Awesome.
Woo!
Thank you so much for watching. I'm still planning to try and climb a V10 if the weather in the UK cooperates, so stay tuned for that video. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Go crush something.